Hey everyone, I'm Mortis and I'm here to guide you through tonight's story. I know many of you use these videos to relax or fall asleep, so before you drift off, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is for you. Now get comfortable, relax, and let's begin. You're deep in the heart of Blackwood Forest, a place so dense with ancient pines that sunlight barely touches the ground. The air is thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves, and the only sound is the occasional snap of a twig underfoot. You're not alone. Something is watching you. Something that moves silently through the shadows, its breath a low, guttural growl that reverberates in your chest. You tell yourself it's just the wind, but the primal part of your brain knows better. It knows that in these woods, the line between man and beast is razor thin. Now imagine waking up the next morning, your clothes torn, your hands caked with dried blood, and no memory of what happened. The townsfolk whisper about the curse of Blackwood Forest, a curse that dates back centuries. They say it began with a man who made a deal with the devil, trading his humanity for power. They say his descendants still roam these woods, cursed, to transform into monsters under the light of the full moon. But here's the chilling question. What if the curse isn't just a story? What if it's real and it's spreading? What if the beast isn't just out there in the woods, it's inside you waiting to break free? The people of Blackwood have lived with this fear for generations. They lock their doors at night, avoid the forest, and pray the curse never touches their family. But every full moon, someone disappears. Sometimes they're found days later, miles from town, their bodies torn apart as if by a wild animal. Other times they're never found at all. And now the curse is waking up again. The attacks are becoming more frequent, more brutal. The townsfolk are turning on each other, accusing their neighbors of being the monster. But the truth is far worse than they can imagine. The curse isn't just a punishment. It's a hunger, a primal force that feeds on fear and blood. And once it has you, there's no escape. So I ask you again, what if the beast isn't just out there? What if it's already inside you, waiting for the next full moon? The curse of Blackwood Forest is not just a tale of monsters and moonlight. It is a mirror held up to the darkest corners of the human psyche, a reflection of our primal fears, our capacity for violence, and the fragile line that separates civilization from savagery. To understand the curse is to confront the terrifying truth about ourselves, that the beast is not an external force, but a part of us, buried deep within. Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, spoke of the shadow self, the hidden, repressed aspects of our personality that we deny or fear. These are the parts of us that lurk in the subconscious, waiting for the right moment to emerge. The curse of Blackwood Forest is the shadow made manifest, a force that strips away the veneer of humanity and reveals the raw, animalistic core beneath. But why does the curse exist? Why would a force so cruel and relentless take root in this quiet, unassuming town? The answer lies in the town's history, a history steeped in blood and betrayal. Centuries ago, Blackwood was a place of desperation. The winters were long and harsh, the soil barren. Starvation drove the townsfolk to unspeakable acts. It is said that one man, driven to madness by hunger, made a pact with a dark force. He offered his soul in exchange for the strength to survive. But the price was higher than he imagined. The curse was born, a curse that would transform him and his descendants into monsters, forever bound to the forest. Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote, "Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster." The curse of Blackwood Forest is a testament to this warning. It is not just a punishment for one man's sin, but a reminder of the darkness that lies within us all. The townsfolk who lock their doors at night, who whisper about the curse in hushed tones, are not just afraid of the beast in the woods. They are afraid of the beast within themselves. And yet the curse thrives on this fear. It feeds on paranoia, on the suspicion that your neighbor, your friend, even your own family, could be the monster. It thrives on the psychological torment of not knowing, of living in a constant state of dread. This is the true horror of Blackwood Forest, not the beast itself, but the way it twists the human mind, turning neighbor against neighbor, friend against friend. But the curse is not just a psychological force, it is also a philosophical one. Jean-Paul Sartre, the existentialist philosopher, argued that hell is other people. In Blackwood, hell is not just other people. It is the realization that the monster you fear is a part of you. It is the existential terror of losing control, of becoming something you cannot recognize. And so, the curse lingers, a dark shadow, over the town. It is a reminder of the fragility of humanity, of the thin line that separates us from the beasts. But it is also a warning that the true horror is not out there in the woods. It is inside us, waiting for the right moment to break free. The curse of Blackwood Forest is not confined to the shadows of the woods or the whispers of the townsfolk. It has seeped into the very fabric of the town, shaping its history, its culture, and its people in ways that are both subtle and devastating. To understand the full scope of the curse is to see how it has warped reality itself, turning a once thriving community into a place of paranoia, mistrust, and unspeakable violence. Consider this. Every full moon, the town holds its breath. Windows are boarded up, doors are locked, and families huddle together, praying that the beast will pass them by. But the curse is not just a physical threat, it is a psychological one. The constant fear of the unknown, the suspicion that anyone could be the monster, has eroded the bonds that hold the community together. Neighbors who once shared meals now eye each other with suspicion. Friends who grew up together now avoid each other's gaze. The curse has turned the town into a powder keg, ready to explode at the slightest spark, and explode it has. Over the years, there have been countless incidents of violence, some committed by the beast, others by the townsfolk themselves. In 1923, a man was lynched by an angry mob who believed he was the monster. His only crime was being a stranger in town, an outsider who didn't belong. In 1957, a family was found dead in their home, their bodies torn apart. The official story was that it was the work of the beast, but some whispered that it was the father, driven mad by the curse, who had turned on his own family. The curse thrives on this chaos. It feeds on the fear, the paranoia, the violence. It is a self-perpetuating cycle, one that has no end. And yet, the townsfolk continue to deny its existence. They cling to their routines, their traditions, their fragile sense of normalcy. They tell themselves that the curse is just a story, a way to explain the unexplainable. But deep down, they know the truth. They know that the curse is real, and that it is far more dangerous than they dare to admit. This denial is not just a coping mechanism. It is a survival strategy. To acknowledge the curse is to acknowledge the darkness within themselves. And that is a truth too terrifying to face. And so, they turn a blind eye to the signs, the warnings, the evidence that the curse is real. They convince themselves that the beast is just a wild animal, that the disappearances are just accidents, that the violence is just the work of a few bad apples. But the curse does not care about their denial. It does not care about their excuses, their rationalizations, their desperate attempts to maintain control. It is a force of nature, relentless and unforgiving. And it is growing stronger. For centuries, the people of Blackwood Forest have lived in fear of the curse, trapped in a cycle of paranoia, violence, and denial. But what if there was a way to break free? What if the curse could be defeated, not by fighting the beast, but by confronting the darkness within ourselves? The first step is to acknowledge the truth. The curse is not just an external force. It is a reflection of our own fears, our own weaknesses, our own capacity for evil. To defeat the curse, we must first confront the beast within, the shadow, self that lurks in the depths of our psyche. This is not an easy task. It requires courage, honesty, and a willingness to face the parts of ourselves that we would rather ignore. But it is not impossible. Throughout history, there have been those who have faced their own darkness and emerged stronger for it. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, wrote about the power of meaning in the face of suffering. He argued that even in the most dire circumstances, we have the ability to choose our response, to find meaning in our suffering, and to transcend our circumstances. In Blackwood, this means confronting the curse head-on. It means acknowledging the fear, the paranoia, the violence, and choosing to rise above it. It means rejecting the cycle of denial and mistrust, and instead fostering a sense of community, of solidarity, of shared purpose. This is not just a philosophical ideal, it is a practical necessity. The curse thrives on division, on the isolation of individuals from each other. By coming together, by supporting each other, the townsfolk can weaken the curse, rob it of its power. But there is more to it than that. To truly defeat the curse, the townsfolk must also confront its origins. They must delve into the dark history of Blackwood, uncover the truth about the man who made the pact with the dark force, and understand the nature of the curse itself. This is a dangerous task, one that risks awakening the beast in the process. But it is also the only way to break the cycle, to free the town from the curse's grip. And so, a small group of brave individuals sets out to do just that. They venture into the heart of the forest, to the place where the curse began. They face their fears, confront the beast, and uncover the truth about the curse. It is a harrowing journey, one that tests their courage, their resolve, and their humanity. But in the end, they emerge victorious, not by defeating the beast, but by understanding it, by accepting it, by integrating it into themselves. This is the true awakening, the realization that the curse is not just a force to be feared, but a part of ourselves to be understood. It is a journey of self-discovery, of transformation, of transcendence. And it is the only way to break free from the nightmare. The journey to break the curse of Blackwood Forest leads to a revelation so profound, so unsettling, that it forces us to rethink everything we thought we knew about the curse and about ourselves. The ultimate truth is this: the curse is not a punishment, nor is it a malevolent force seeking to destroy. It is a test, a crucible, a mirror held up to the soul, forcing us to confront the darkness within and emerge stronger, wiser, and more whole. The man who made the pact with the dark 4 centuries ago was not a villain. He was a desperate soul, driven to the brink by hunger and despair. The curse he unleashed was not a punishment for his sin, but a challenge to transcend the primal instincts of fear, violence, and survival, and to embrace the higher virtues of compassion, unity, and self-awareness. But the townsfolk failed the test. Instead of confronting the curse, they denied it. Instead of uniting against it, they turned on each other. Instead of seeking understanding, they sought scapegoats. And so, the curse endured, growing stronger with each generation, feeding on their fear and division. The ultimate truth is that the curse is not an external force. It is a reflection of the collective psyche of the town, a manifestation of their unresolved fears, their repressed desires, their unacknowledged darkness. To break the curse, they must first break the cycle of denial and division. They must confront the beast within, not with violence, but with understanding. They must integrate the shadow self, not as an enemy, but as a part of themselves. This is not an easy task. It requires a radical shift in perspective, a willingness to embrace the unknown, to face the darkness without flinching. But it is the only way to break free from the curse, to transcend the nightmare, and to reclaim their humanity. And so, the townsfolk begin the long, difficult process of healing. They come together, not as individuals, but as a community. They share their stories, their fears, their hopes. They confront the curse, not with weapons, but with compassion. They face the beast, not as an enemy, but as a teacher. And slowly, the curse begins to weaken. The attacks become less frequent, the fear less paralyzing, the divisions less pronounced. The townsfolk begin to see the curse not as a force to be feared, but as a challenge to be embraced. They begin to understand that the true horror was not the beast in the woods, but the beast within themselves. And in that understanding, they find freedom. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more chilling tales and unsolved mysteries. And remember, sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that might just be true.